2023 is officially the year the Nintendo Switch struck back with major announcements after people left them for dead after The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Now, it's been a really solid first half of the year for Nintendo, but up until the most recent Nintendo Direct, people were wondering what is going down with the Nintendo Switch. Are they already going to push it out and bring in the Nintendo Switch 2 or the next gen system sooner than maybe expected based off the reports? There was a lot of talk about that, but we did get some clarity with the June Nintendo Direct, and it's now looking like the boost that The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom gave to the Nintendo Switch is actually snowballing and carrying some serious momentum into the summer here, because we're starting to see a number of evergreen games across the world jump back into the top charts. We always have the eternal Mario Kart 8 Deluxe jumping into the top 10, but now we even have it on the eShop to where it's like the second best selling game in many different regions after the new booster course packs just dropped. What's going to be interesting to see exactly where Nintendo's expansion pass sales are at, especially with so many people snapping up Mario Kart 8 Deluxe 6 years plus after launch. Now, we need to also discuss some of the other games that are coming and what's happening with the Nintendo Switch. Now, I recently made a 25 big upcoming Nintendo Switch RPGs and games to look forward to, and honestly, the system is looking really vibrant, and this is one of the most exciting second half to the year that we've had in the Switch library. Big games from third parties like Deca Police and Sonic Superstars are coming. There's big old school games that people have wanted for quite some time, like Metal Gear finally making its way to the Nintendo Switch, and also modern classics like the Batman Arkham Trilogy as well. So whether you're a superhero or you're a tactical espionage expert, or you just want to do some good old-fashioned 2D platforming with Super Mario Bros. Wonder or Sonic Superstars, it seems like the Nintendo Switch is going to have plenty, and the sales are going to continue because many felt that Tears of the Kingdom wouldn't live up to what Breath of the Wild did in terms of moving that type of hardware. But what we've seen from the Japanese sales charts in addition to the worldwide sales charts is that Tears of the Kingdom has just started the snowball, and more people are picking up Nintendo Switch despite the system going on 130 million units at this point, being the third best selling platform of all time. So it's very interesting to see kind of the 180 in the public perception with some people when it came to what Nintendo was going to do for the second half of the year and what they have going for them. I'm particularly impressed with the lineup this late into the system's life. Usually at this point for Nintendo, it's a done deal. They're already moved on to the next system or already talking about what they're going to be doing next. And the system that they currently have is on life support or just simply dead. And that is not the case here with the Nintendo Switch. So it's exciting to see that there are some big third-party and first-party games coming this year and even into next year with the new Princess Peach game, and also with a port of Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon for the Nintendo Switch. Now, let's go ahead and let's talk about something else when it comes to third-party games, because Limited Run Games Showcase, where they announced 20 new physical games plus. So over that, and there were some heavy hitters that we will detail in just a bit. So Limited Run Games announced over 20 new titles that will receive physical releases as part of its Limited Run Games 2023 showcase, including Casltevania Advanced Collection, Gargoyles Remastered, and the Jurassic Park Classic Games Collection. Now, Limited Run Games also revealed their Carbon engine, shoutouts to MVG. Development is ramping up with announcements that include Clock Tower, Jurassic Park Classic Games Collection, Gex Trilogy, Tomba, and more. These titles join Trip World DX, River City Girls Zero, and the original Shantae in our catalog of revitalized retro releases. A series of all-new Limited Run Games funded and published titles are also on the way. Finally, Limited Run Games is excited to share that we are continuing our partnership with Konami, WayForward, Lucas Games, and other amazing developers and publishers. Our lineup this year showcases some of the top talent in the industry, and we are proud to be working with them. Now, here are all the games. I'm going to list them right here for you guys, but I want to kind of get into a number of the big games for me, and that is the Casltevania Advanced Collection. This game is going to be available till September 10th, and the pre-orders are going live in late July. So make sure you guys pre-order it. There's one of 4 different covers you can pick from, and they proudly announced this one here. And I love that the Casltevania Advanced Collection is getting a physical edition here, because these are some phenomenal games. I really love Area of Sorrow. I think that game is just GBA Castlevania perfected. I think it's one of the best Castlevania games as well. So I'm a huge fan of that game and what it does. So the fact that they're bringing this one out physical is great. Now the pre-orders do launch on July 28th. There will be more details on the website with limited run games. The only thing that I don't like, and people who have bought from limited run games know this, is that, man, it takes forever sometimes to get your games. I think that process needs to be sped up, or that process needs to be tightened up. I don't know how they're going to do it, but to me, the process of just buying and waiting for your game to come in the mail just takes way too long. So I'm hoping one of these days, if they don't already figure it out at this point, they got to figure that out, because it just takes way too long to get your games. That's why I kind of stopped buying from them. But they are announcing some awesome stuff, and the Carbon engine is cooking on all cylinders right now, because we have the Gex Trilogy. This is an incredible thing that's being announced, and they even talked about surfs onto the Carbon engine. It's coming to pretty much everything here, guys. PS5, PS4, Switch, PC, and the Xbox Series. This includes Gex, Gex Enter the Gecko, and Gex 3 Deep Cover Gecko, all in one collection running on that Carbon engine. So very happy for Gex fans out there. It makes me think about Jordan Fringe. Shout outs to the homie Jordan. I know he's definitely happy about this, and I think that this is such a dope thing to reveal. I'm just kind of waiting to see exactly how it's going to play, like the gameplay with the Carbon engine. I know it's obviously ports, so it's going to play like the games that were before, but I want to see how it runs and everything, because they didn't really show any gameplay footage of a lot of the different games here. They just announced them because, hey, look, I guess you can see gameplay footage of them already, but it would have been nice if they actually showed it off a bit. But I'm happy that it's coming. So really cool to see that Gex is coming back in this trilogy. And let's talk about the actual games itself too. So the collection will include that original trilogy. Now, all three titles were available on the original PlayStation, while the first game was also available for the 3DO, PC, and Sega Saturn. Imagine having to develop each individual one of those platforms back in the day. And the second and third games also launched for the Nintendo 64 and Game Boy Color. Such a wide array in different styles and specs of systems. So to get it all on just modern platforms here is definitely appreciated here. So good stuff all around there with the Gex Trilogy. Now next up, and probably one of the more exciting ones for people too, is Tomba is coming back to the PS5, PS4, Switch, and PC. So publisher Limited Run Games and developer Whoopee Camp, that's an awesome name, and also, yes, this is the Carbon engine, will release an enhanced version of Tomba for PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Switch, and PC via Steam, the companies announced. Now, Tomba first launched for the PlayStation on December 25th, 1997 in Japan, followed by July 16th, 1998 in North America, and August 28th, 1998 in Europe. Director, producer, and designer Tokudo Fujiwara is working with Limited Run Games on the new release, which will run on Limited Run Games' Carbon engine and feature a new soundtrack by Fujita Harumi. So this is pretty cool here. They didn't show any actual gameplay, they just showed the cinematic. But yeah, they're looking to capture that original feel, and bringing that back to modern systems is definitely going to be good. Now they're saying that it's an enhanced version of it, so obviously they're making some nice improvements to the game for modern platforms, and I think that it should be pretty good, especially on that Carbon engine. And I think that this Carbon engine could revolutionize how we get classic games. Now there was a stat out there, I think somebody said on Twitter, that about 87% of classic games are not available for purchase here, and that is a staggering amount. So obviously people talk about emulation and all the different stuff in terms of bringing games to modern hardware, but if this Carbon engine is anything when it comes to it, it looks like we could be getting a lot of these classic games that aren't available on new platforms in an accelerated type of way, because it looks like the Carbon engine can take these old school engines and games and everything and put out something, as long as you have the right people in charge, and make some great modern end versions of bringing these classics back. So that's what's exciting about the Carbon engine. That's what's exciting about Limited Run Games working with the original developers, working with Konami, working with these publishers to get physical copies all on the cartridge, all on the disc, ready for people to go to play these classic titles. So this is definitely a positive thing. There's a lot of work to be done, but I think that overall this is a good thing. So shout outs to the Carbon Engine, shout outs to MVG. He's the one who helped create that, along with Limited Run Games and everything they're doing there. And I'm really hoping that all this turns out really well, because it looks like the Switch and PlayStation, Xbox, there's a lot of classic love going around across the board here. So sign me up for that. Now, getting into the last topic, I want to discuss Monolith Soft real quick, because a lot of people ask me, and I've already made multiple videos about this, but I wanted to talk about it a little bit more with Monolith Soft and when we could get their next brand new game announcement. I'm not talking about like a Xenoblade Chronicles X port or an enhanced version of that. I've already discussed that in a video, so if you want to hear everything I have to say about when we could see Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Nintendo Switch or a next-gen platform, check out the video. There will be a link in the description to where you can watch that video. But I want to talk about their next actual game announcement and the excitement that we could see surrounding that. Now, we know that Monolith Soft has been working on something big, something new for quite some time. They had that recruitment, which it wasn't The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, because it was well before that. And obviously it wasn't Xenoblade Chronicles 3 either. They described it as a different type of game, different from what Monolith Soft usually does, which brought about the new IP. Obviously the artwork was very different from what we've seen before from them. So I'm guessing that they've been putting together something from that point and what they're going to be doing. The Xenoblade Chronicles trilogy is over with and done, or it's a stopping point. I think they're going to go back to Xenoblade, or maybe this next game could be something that extends it, but in a different way, almost like the difference from Xenosaga to Xenoblade, shared universe kind of, but different style of games. But I do think that this next thing could be something that's a clean break. And when could we see that announcement? So I believe that that announcement could come at the next generation conference, or the next generation direct that Nintendo has. Now, if you guys don't remember, I remember, but if you don't remember, Nintendo announced Xenoblade Chronicles 2 at their Nintendo Switch presentation 2017. That was the first time that we even knew about Xenoblade Chronicles 2 being in development. We were fresh off of Xenoblade Chronicles X at the end of 2015 here in the US, so 2016 went by. We were getting ready for the NX, which turned out to be the Nintendo Switch. They announced it. They didn't show anything in that October 2016 trailer, and then in January, bam, they hit us with that Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which looked amazing. I think that Monolith Soft always makes those games that are very impressive for whatever hardware they're running on, dating all the way back to the Nintendo DS with Soma Bringers. So I do feel that this next game that they talk about, or this next game that they have, it's going to be a true next generation leap for Monolith Soft, what they're doing, and it's probably going to be shown off in some type of way, shape, or form at Nintendo's big conference or Nintendo's big trailer for whatever they're going to be doing next. So that's my opinion in terms of when we can see the next thing from them. I'm just excited because Monolith Soft obviously turning a profit. They've definitely doubled things up. They're doing very well as a studio, but their next game needs to be announced or needs to be coming. They need to also continue facilitating those funds coming in and be profitable as a company. So we could see that once again, Xenoblade Chronicles X, I talked about that, but I think that the next announcement could be as early as this year, at the end of the year, if Nintendo announces something, or probably more likely early next year if Nintendo has some type of conference or something to where they announce their next Nintendo Switch, their next gen system. So that could be very exciting for whatever Monolith Soft does. But what are your thoughts on all this, guys, when it comes to everything that we discussed here? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out our other videos right here on screen. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you for the next one. Peace.